Welcome to the Same Day Podcast, where we discuss driving incremental business growth and other topics related to real estate, property management, and entrepreneurship. Now to the show at hand.
Matt Zalk here. I'm the host of the Same Day Podcast, where I connect with top business experts and real estate leaders. We've recently had a number of interesting people on the show, but if you go all the way back, Vondell Burns on the show was with Thankless Productions. Aaron Wiggum of New You and Brooke Reuter spoke to us about contract for deed versus lease to own properties. Today's episode's brought to you by Keyrenter Property Management. At Keyrenter Property Management, we are a full-service property management company helping our clients buy, renovate, and operate real estate assets. We help our clients build wealth while taking the headache out of property management. Susan, you know better than anybody because you've done this a million times. When you don't have the industry experience that you have specifically, and that we have specifically, the process of acquisition to renovation to leasing can be a lot. But at Keyrenter Property Management, we do the property management from soup to nuts. We can help the renovation, leasing, management, maintenance, the whole deal. And so can Susan. But that's why no matter what rentals you have, single family homes, condos, townhomes, apartments, we have the management solutions that you need. Go to KeyrenterPMC.com or info@KeyrenterPMC.com. Today's guest is Susan Olivarez. She's a Tulsa realtor with more than 27 years of experience helping buyers, sellers, and investors succeed in real estate. She was born and raised in Oklahoma. She got her start in an abstract office at just 14 years old. That was 7 years ago. 14 years old, gaining rare behind-the-scenes knowledge of how real estate really works. That's phenomenal experience that we're going to dig into today. As an investor herself, Susan has guided clients through everything from traditional sales to short sales, foreclosures, and probate transactions. She has built a property management division within her business to better serve the investors she works with, offering a true full-service approach to real estate. Susan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Let us dig all the way back. You were 14, working in an abstracting office. How did that work? How did that happen?
So my dad was the manager of the employment office in Poto, southeastern Oklahoma, and the man that owned the abstract office needed somebody to microfilm. So telling it wasn't 7 years ago. Take the books, big old books from the courthouse over to the abstract office, microfilm them, and take them back. So my dad thought that was the perfect summer job for me. And actually it was, because I worked there every summer until I graduated high school.
Wow.
And actually was an abstractor as the years went on.
Wow. So your first job after this summer internship program that your dad set up for you, your first real job in real estate was actually in abstracting?
Well, it was just every summer. I went back every summer from the time I was 14 until I was 18, graduated high school.
What did you learn from those summer experiences doing that microfilming? I don't even know what is micro. Can we just talk about microfilm for a second?
You take the pages, put them on the camera, and you push the button with your foot, and it takes a picture. Okay. So microfilm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What did you learn from those early experiences working with abstracts that carried forward through your entire real estate career?
Well, I think that I just know more about how the world works with abstracting. You know, it's not just selling a house, it's the property, and you start with Indian land and every mortgage deed, divorce, probate, whatever is the history of that piece of property. And I think that's very interesting.
It is super interesting. I mean, it goes back way, way, way back, which is very interesting. Some states don't have abstracts. They're just title states, right? And Oklahoma is one of, I don't know, there might be a couple of states, I don't know, 10 states. One of two?
One of two still left with actual abstract. And it's, they do have abstracts because there's a recording of every deed. They just don't put them in book and page form like we still do. And some of ours now has gone to more digital than, I don't know, if anybody had never seen an abstract, the books and pages, I mean, they can be this thick. Yeah.
And they physically reside in a storage facility at American Title or whatever title company they physically reside. And if you lose them or they get burnt or whatever, then you have to recreate them going back to.
Yes, and they charge, and they charge for that. I mean, I have a funny story where I asked a seller one time about, we need your abstract. This is your grandmother's property. Do you have any ideas? Safe deposit box, whatever. And she said, no, no, I don't even know what that is. Well, we were walking through this old detached garage, and I look up on this top shelf, and I happen to know what one looks like. And there was that abstract to that property on that top shelf of that old dusty garage,
Wow.
which would have cost them hundreds of dollars to have that rebuilt.
Wow.
If
Does an
I
attorney
hadn't
have
just
to
seen
rebuild it?
The abstract office does. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in real estate for call it 12 years, and I've been in Oklahoma real estate for 8, and I have never seen an abstract. So
You should go. You should talk to your abstract office, have them pull one, and just, another funny story is way back when I was 14 and I would go get the, probates or divorces or whatever for the abstractors, because you'd have to copy it so you could put it in the physical abstract. Back in the old days, the divorces were, detail about this is why they were getting a divorce because so and so did this or that or slept with whoever. And so, you can imagine when you're 14 or 16, I mean, that's just like reading a smut novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it says irreconcilable differences or whatever. But back then, yeah.
But
So that was the fun.
In an abstract of a house that I buy today, if I go back to the 40s through the 70s or 80s, I may see the reason for a divorce painted in more colorful language than we would today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All the more reason to go. I'm going to put a couple up on my bedside table and read them for nighttime reading.
It is fun.
It's interesting. Do you think you would have been drawn to real estate had your dad not managed this office and kind of pulled you in at an early age?
Probably not, because I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. But yeah, I think the abstract office, yeah.
So fast forwarding through to 18, you graduate high school, you're no longer working at the abstract office, or what was the first professional experience that you had post abstract world?
Oh,
In real estate?
Well, went to college, got a business degree at Northeastern, and then moved to Tulsa and worked as a paralegal for an attorney's office. Yep, still kind of involved in the real estate side of things.
So that attorney was working on real estate transactions or working on contracts or something like that?
Right,
Yep.
right. Then I went to the Tulsa Housing Authority
Yeah.
for 19 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, and worked through all the different programs there when I left, and got my real estate license while I was still at the Housing Authority, was over the first time home buyer program and all different kinds of programs there.
Wait, what is the first time homebuyer program at the Tulsa Housing Authority?
Well, there's a program where Section 8, the voucher program, it had a component where a family self-sufficiency component where people could work and set goals. And then as their income increased, that would be put aside in an account.
Wow.
With the goal of them being able to purchase a home. And then there's also first-time home buyer money. OFA has a program now, Tulsa Housing still does some, where you go through classes and you can be eligible for down payment closing cost assistance.
Wow. Do you think the Tulsa Housing Authority still has some of that?
I think so, yes. Yes.
So you did 19 years at the Tulsa Housing Authority.
I did. I thought, okay, I'm gonna just go here, see what I can learn, and figure out what I want to do with my life. Yeah. And then every year I received a promotion. And when I actually left there, I was the director of development. So
now the Tulsa Housing Authority is developing a tremendous amount. I think they've got the Phoenix thing up at Harvard and Pine, Harvard and Apache maybe, was has THA historically developed a good amount of real estate kind of in every season, every decade they're doing a number of big projects?
I left in 2005, so it's been a day or two.
Sure.
And it's all federal, where the federal money goes and private money and developing those partnerships. So yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Through the ebbs and flows of different market cycles, what has changed the most from the days you got into abstracting through THA, through a legal career through THA, and then into your career as a sales professional? What's changed about the way people buy and sell and invest in real estate?
That's kind of funny because we used to meet with buyers and sellers and actually sign documents rather than DocuSign. And I think there's pluses to that, and that'll make me sound old school. But more interaction, and then you would have to take your signed contracts and meet with the listing agent,
Sure.
hand them over to them, all of that stuff.
What was better? What was better about those days?
Better because you got to meet more people and interact and personality versus sometimes we get lost in just quick text and emotion. And somebody implies an emotion to a text that wouldn't otherwise be there. So I always think conversation's the better answer. Yeah.
I do feel like there are many realtors. There are many, I shouldn't say, what do we call them? Sales associates in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. There are many new ones, people that don't have as much experience as you do. And there's also a certain ego that goes along with the, I don't know, maybe newer agents or younger agents. Maybe, I don't know, what am I, a millennial? I'm like millennial agents. And I don't know what portion of that is because you can clip a quick buck doing a transaction and they think, we're riding real high on the horse. And what portion of it is kind of endemic to the nature of the way we communicate, that we just send texts back and, hey, I shot you over an email. It's a text that comes through that says, I shot you over an offer by email. And somebody doesn't respond or somebody gets upset. But like, you're right. Face-to-face communication, phone calls they disarm so much of that tension that can build between two text messages where you impute meaning or tone, as you said, to the communication. So yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a lot of that was like just so much better when there wasn't a quick email and a quick text message in a DocuSign form that came through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fun, it's easy, it saves you miles and steps and that kind of thing. However, I think we lose some of the communication and detail.
Yeah.
I think we assume too much with a buyer or a seller, and that's why people get upset, is because we haven't gone through each paragraph of a contract, legally binding document. What are you committing to?
Yeah.
So.
And you used to have those meetings more in person. You'd probably have there's probably still a pre-meeting. We're gonna do the following steps as a buyer, for example. We're gonna do the following steps, and that may happen in person. But once the contract comes through, you used to review that with them line by line or paragraph by paragraph to explain to them what it was. And now it's just like, hey, can you sign this document?
Right. Right.
Yeah. That can be challenging if it's your first transaction or you don't know what to expect or whatever. I can see that. At some point, when did you transition from pure sales, doing transactions, into having a property management component of the business?
About 4 years ago, I was dealing with investors and didn't have a property management company to turn them over to that managed the property like I thought it ought to be done.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I'll do this with my investors. They were asking me to also.
Yeah.
And swore never would I ever have a property management company. And so we all know what never say never means. Anyway, so that's how it started out. And it grew. And then I have other agents, even from other companies, that'll say, hey, my so-and-so investor needs somebody to manage their property. I don't want anything to do with it. Will you do that? And so it's my investors plus referrals from other agents, which is a little bit, you know, but my deal is that I tell the realtors, when I'm managing their property and they say, hey, I want to buy another one, or I'm thinking about selling this one, I immediately call that agent and say, hey, if you haven't talked to so and so, you need to call them right now because they're thinking of. So that's my value proposition, is that I return. It sounds funny saying return that client, but giving them a heads up, hey, your client is wanting to do this.
Yeah.
So
we do the same thing from our referral agents. We say we're never going to steal that client from you. The transaction is yours. You should do it. What happens in the awkward situation where the owner says, you say to the owner, if you're thinking about selling, you need to go back to XYZ realtor. They sold you the property. They referred us and we have a relationship and we don't want to step on that relationship. And the client says, ooh, I don't want to work with them again. That becomes a challenge.
It is, but there comes in a phone call and say, hey, this is what your investor wants to do. And do you want to do a referral, or how would you like to proceed?
Yeah.
And most of the time that's the easy answer. And when I enroll or start with an investor, one of the pieces of the conversation is, hey, this seems awkward sometimes when you have two realtors involved, but I just want to let you know my value proposition that we want to continue to work, because the investor person is the one that sometimes feels uncomfortable. And doesn't understand the relationship where they want to be loyal to you, but loyal. So that conversation up front.
Helps.
And that option for referral. I mean, you just have to talk about it.
Pick up the phone. Are you saying pick up the phone?
You can. Yeah. You don't even have to dial anymore. You just push.
A friend of mine with a 19-year-old child was saying that she handed the phone to the child and was like, can you talk to so-and-so? And the child was like, oh God. Like the thought of talking on the phone was so foreign and scary that she like bumbled the phone and dropped it. I had to send them a text. What were the biggest challenges early on to adding property management to your already busy sales business?
Just trying to find the balance. And I still don't know the balance in that. Hiring somebody to help, and at what level can you afford the help, and what's the goal? Are you taking away from your sales by the time how much time it takes to manage properties, and finding that balance between the two?
And how do you balance between sales and management?
Some days better than others. I have to say that. Rent collection the first of the month is really hard. You have to set aside the time to focus on that and getting your owners paid. So it's just scheduling your time. And like I said, some days I do better than others.
Yeah.
And
but you're using Appfolio property management software, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a huge win.
Through Keller Williams, it all has to go through the broker. So
I get the sense sometimes talking to real estate agents that we as property managers are like the bottom of the barrel. They look at us as like, you guys are like the low man on the totem pole, and you do all the work that the rest of us don't want to do. So I wanted to get your thought about that, and one thing that agents often misunderstand about what property management actually involves and what we do.
I think it's harder than people think it is. I mean, just like people think, oh, realtors, they get a huge paycheck. That's easy. Well, we all know it's not easy. And property managers, people will say, oh, I want to manage this property for this guy or whatever. I'll say, okay, let's talk about this. And this is how this happens. And, oh, well, that's harder than I thought. Yes, it is. So I think everybody, I mean, it's all real estate and they're different avenues, and it's whatever your little pocket is that interests you. It's got to interest you, or it's not any fun, and it's hard to excel if it's not your thing. But it's yeah.
What do you think a common mistake is that you see self-managing landlords make, and maybe that mistake is why they come to you in the first place for property management? But do you see any pattern of mistakes that self-managing landlords kind of tend towards?
Um, Probably um just feeling sorry for the tenant, or
Yeah.
you don't want to say falling for the line, and getting behind on rent, not wanting to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And hiring a property manager makes that easier, I think, because the property manager's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's just not that you're not empathetic, because you are as a property manager, but you also have a responsibility to that owner. So that makes it a little easier.
Seems
These are the rules. This is what we have to do. And this is, so I think that's probably the big thing. And then just keeping up with maintenance and repair and that kind of thing.
I do think putting a property manager in between an owner and a resident of a property makes it much more of a business. It's like a black and white delineation of the business component of owning a real estate asset or many assets. Right. People often think, I think the residents have the tendency to think, you have a bunch of properties, like, why do you need my rent? And I'm in the situation, and woe is me, and a bunch of things. And conversely, the landlord's like, well, I'm not struggling this month. I did still get my paycheck from my regular job or my other business or whatever. So maybe I'll let them go a month, and then a month turns into 3, and all of a sudden somebody owes $3,000 or $4,000, and it's much harder at that point to get caught up. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, the resident has maybe bought a new TV or bought something else with the money that they
didn't pay rent.
Didn't pay rent with. Yeah. So doing that's a business decision.
I think that's right. It's a business. It's an investment.
Right.
The owners buy properties to make money.
Right.
And just like your investments, I mean, you use your banker or your investor to help you manage that and make the most money that you can. So I think property management is the same thing. These are your investments, and why not hire a professional to do the job, to manage it?
Yeah, we're not running a charity. This is a business decision. And I do think residents often fail to understand, at some level, if this person didn't invest their money or didn't save a bunch of money from their business or their job, didn't invest it in this house, didn't improve this house and maintain it, their options for nice homes to live in would be significantly fewer. Mm-hmm. It's a give and take. I mean, you as a resident perhaps didn't save the money, didn't have the means, but you still have a nice house to live in because somebody else did take the painful decision to save up that money. They could have used that down payment on a $100,000 house, $20,000 to go on a vacation. They forewent a bunch of spending decisions or a bunch of spending options in order to save the money for the house so that you can live in it. So it's your responsibility to tell me when there's maintenance issues, to keep it as nice as possible, and to pay your rent, because it's an investment decision. They could have taken that money and put it in the stock market, and then they would have had, returns on Coca-Cola or whatever other stock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
If you could automate one more part of your property management business tomorrow, what do you think that would be?
Automate, probably repairs.
That'd be a good one. Let's talk about that. How would we do that? I mean, if you could have, I think there are Elon Musk's Optimus robots coming out soon. I mean, they can
what one?
they can hammer and nail, identify problems with artificial intelligence and go fix things.
I think that's one of the deals, is that determining how many units you have to have contracted or paid maintenance people to handle things. And with a smaller operation, you build relationships with handymen, handywomen, plumbers, whatever, and you'll be rocking along fine. Everything's being tended to, and then life happens to somebody and they go off and you can't find them and they're not showing up. So I think that's a constant struggle to find people to handle repairs.
I think that's true.
And the other flip side is a owner, doesn't want to spend money for repairs. So balancing that, finding somebody that does a good job for a good price, and then keeping them online because life happens and they go away.
Absolutely. I think the pendulum swung pretty far towards new high school and college graduates wanting to go to Facebook, computer engineering, all sorts of stuff, and away from the trades, away from what amounts to hard work. In the Midwest, southern states, we used to have a solid, work ethic, and the younger generation has kind of seen how easy it is for some people on the coasts to make a lot of money really quickly in technology, and they said, I want to do that. And now it seems we're swinging back towards people that want to take more roles in the trades and in carpentry and maintenance and other stuff. But there's that missing middle now for that generation that we lost, where they really just did not want to work with their hands. And now the prices of plumbing and electrical and mechanical have come up so high that they're recognizing that you can make a good, respectable, honest living working with your hands in the trades again, and they're coming back. But there is definitely, you see a bunch of, older folks that are doing it, and they may be retiring and leaving and going to play with their grandkids, and you see some younger people doing it, but it's hard to find the people in the middle that are still working in the trades. I think we have it better in Oklahoma than we do in a lot of the coastal areas of the United States, I would suspect. But it's hard to find honest, good, reasonably priced vendors, and then to keep them. And you got to keep them busy enough where they go to other places and take full-time jobs and leave their business, or service more important clients in their minds. That's definitely a hard part. When you think with your investors about long-term portfolios, not just buying a property, but maintaining it and growing the portfolio long-term, how do you talk to them about the value today, the value tomorrow, and the value in 10 years?
I think first off, you have to just set, what are your goals? What's your intent? What are we trying to accomplish? And, that goes with, right, with the, flips. I want to do flips, or I want rentals, or, figuring out that combination and the benefit to each of those.
Yeah.
What'd you say, the end of that question? I had a thought and then went past it there.
Maintaining and growing the portfolios like today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now.
Right. So Gary Keller said this in a meeting the other day. He said, it's always a good time to buy real estate, invest in real estate. Yeah. So 28 years ago, can you tell yourself, I wish I would have bought every available property I could get my hands on? And the answer is yes. Yeah. Don't we all wish we would have bought more? Yeah. And then he said, okay, so today you need to be buying every available piece of real estate that you can find, because in 20 years, what are you going to tell yourself? I wish I would have bought every piece of. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, yes, you can talk yourself out of doing things. Prices are too high, rates are too high, all of those things. And you can muddle through that and do nothing, buy nothing. But truth is, not even in 20 years, in 2 years or 5 years, you'll wish that you would have bought more real estate at this point in time, because it's always a good day to buy a good piece of real estate.
Yeah. Before the show, I was telling you about my client friend Miles, who bought reluctantly, I would say, bought 2 houses for $70,000 back in 2018 or 19. And it was really like, it was 50-50, I think, when we presented this to him, whether he was going to buy it. And he ended up buying it kind of reluctantly. Like, I don't know, the HVAC's not that new and the roof may need to be replaced. But he bought 2 houses, $35,000 a piece. And we've gotten $800, $900, $1,000, $1,100 in rent every year since. And now when I talk to him about it, he's like, God, we should have bought every deal that we could have back then. I balked at some, but we should have bought them all. Like, yeah, right. We should have. Right. But at the time, it can seem hard. You don't have the cash. You got to scrimp and save. But Yeah, I mean,
are you making the right decision? And
yeah, for sure.
the other thing is people do when they are running their numbers and they want to repair a home or fix it up like they're going to live in it personally.
Yeah,
And yes, you do want to make a nice product to flip or rent or whatever, but there are some things that you don't want to go to that extreme.
sure.
So that's always a fun conversation with new investors, especially maybe a husband and wife trying to agree on things. That's kind of fun.
Sure. It's a tough balance though, because if you buy a house and you're doing $10,000 worth of work or 15 or 20, or you're going to flip it and you're putting in 50, like if the sheetrock's out, should we do all new electrical? Well, that's another, that in 2025, that's another $8,000 of work. And you got to rip out a bunch of other stuff. And then the cabinets have to come out. Like where do you start and where do you stop? That's really a tough conversation to have and to really think through. And then if we're doing the electrical and then we don't do all the plumbing and there's galvanized water lines and there's cast iron sewer lines, like, are we doing flooring over something that in 2 years we're gonna have to rip up all the flooring, cut into the slab and redo all the slab because we had bad plumbing lines? It's it's not all fun and games. It can be very interesting. It's not all fun and games. You hope you get a good return, but sometimes you just have to gamble and determine where you start and where you stop.
I do say investing is like gambling. You win some and you lose some. And true with tenants. Sometimes somebody looks great on paper. You're thinking, yes, perfect tenant, and
not
life happens.
Yeah, that's true. You can also have a tenant, you sign a renewal, they've been with you 3 years, and then life happens, as you say, and they stop paying rent, and they're all of a sudden the worst tenant. And you're like, well, that I didn't see that.
Unlike gambling.
Kind of like gambling. What advice would you give realtors who want to start managing properties for their investors but don't know where to begin?
Have a conversation with several property managers.
Yeah.
And talk about pros and cons, and then really investigate what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish by doing this? And does it fit in your long-term plan?
Yeah. People ask me, because we manage property, obviously they ask me as they're getting into it, like for thoughts or experience sometimes. And I often say that it is a business, and to speak to some of the things you've mentioned, it's a business that works really well at scale and is harder at small, at less scale. If you have 10 or 20 homes, you can't afford the automation, you can't afford Appfolio, I mean, it's beautiful for you because you get a lot of the infrastructure through Keller Williams. But if you don't have that infrastructure set up, I guess you can go to a brokerage that has that infrastructure set up, or you do it all yourself and you're still on spreadsheets and paying owners and paying your management fee and having trust accounts. It can be a burden, and maintenance can be a burden because the plumber that you call is not giving you the best rate that they're giving to larger companies. Nobody's getting what Case and Associates is getting, but for smaller landlords, smaller property managers, it can be really hard. And as you scale, you mean more to your vendors. You fill a house, but another tenant is actively looking and they say, I wanted that house. Well, you don't have the ability to say, well, I've got 10 others that look like this, or 10 others in the neighborhood or whatever. So everything becomes easier with scale. So I would say it makes a lot of sense if you're thinking about property management, to kind of jump in and do it. It's a good business. It can be time consuming, to your point, Susan, about, how do you split time between sales? When is your attention diverted? And when do you lose money versus make money in your business? But it's something that works with scale. What about sales at this point? Do you see the market in Tulsa as, I mean, you mentioned people should be buying, and I agree with you entirely. Like, buy in the downfall, buy in the upswing, just keep buying, and in 20 years you'll be really happy. Because as my colleague who runs marketing and sales for Keyrenter, he always says everything looks cheap in the rearview mirror, which is exactly what you said, Gary said.
Sure.
How do you feel right now about the Tulsa market?
We have more inventory out there. Interest rates are falling a little bit. It's still good interest rates. Not like we had several years ago, the 2% and all of that. But I mean, it's still a great time to invest in real estate.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not buying like I was once, but I certainly am still buying houses here and there.
It was harder because investors were on the same playing field as first-time home buyers. So investors couldn't get the deals that they were used to. So
Yeah.
it became harder for investors to find properties.
Yeah. And how are part of the conversation that I'm seeing with investors is insurance rates are through the roof and they're up 30-40%. Maintenance costs for the last 5 years have gone just berserk. Who was I talking to that said pipe? I was talking to a buddy of mine, Sam, who does a lot of new construction. He said pipe, there's a period where pipe went up 128% in 90 days.
Mm.
I was like, whoa, but that was a period. I mean, COVID, that was, hyperinflation, or as hyper as we see it in the United States or saw it in the United States. What are you telling investors or new buyers about kind of rising maintenance costs and insurance costs and how to deal with that, and property tax, to be fair?
They're there. It's the reality. You have to incorporate that in your budget, and maybe you don't have the 10% return on your investment initially, but you have a 3 or 5%, and that's okay for now. That's where it is. It's still a return
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of like suck it up, eat it,
expectation.
and
Yeah,
at some point it may change. Rates may come down. I mean,
right.
maintenance costs are not coming down, but their growth will slow certainly, and eventually rents will come back in. I mean, everybody that's investing in real estate, or I shouldn't say everybody, many people that are investing in real estate are expecting a reasonable return on their investment, and so rents will have to come to parity with that over time, so that they're they've gotten a 5, 7, 10% return over the long haul.
Right.
Is that right? What's next for Susan?
What's next for Susan?
How do you see your business evolving over the next 5 years?
Oh gosh. It's kind of funny because I keep saying I'm going to retire in 10 years, but it's a revolving 10 years. Every year I say 10 years, 10 years. But just continuing serving my investor clients and my repeat business on sales, and just keep learning and growing. Every day's fun, right?
Yeah.
Learn
Indeed.
something new.
You mentioned Gary Keller, who's obviously a very respected person in the industry. Who are your colleagues that you respect most in this industry in Tulsa and across the United States?
Oh gosh, tough question.
Think about it. We'll come back to that. What about
You have to come back to that one.
What about learning events, GTAR, Keller Williams events, podcasts, conferences? What are your favorites where you learn the most?
Gosh, I listen to just different people. I like Darren Hardy.
Yeah. Darren's daily.
Yes, yes.
How do you describe Darren? He's kind of a motivational, no excuses. Every day you can get up and do something, positive to change your business, your life, etc. Right?
I just forgot the win, lose. What is? I can't think of the guy's name that I listen to. I love all the Keller trainings and family reunion and all of those things. Having been raised in Oklahoma and lived in Oklahoma all my life, it's just interacting with other people from other states and the things that you learn, just property management wise, contract wise, just how. So that's the fun part, is just meeting and talking to people from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Well, and states too, how real estate differs and investors differ. And
sure.
Yeah.
Are you a member of the National Association of Residential Property Managers, NARPM?
No.
That's a good, they do a few conferences a year, but that's a great professional organization that is helpful, has taught me a lot about kind of professionalizing our industry. Has given me thoughts on, I don't know, the way pet, screening is going for people that are requesting reasonable accommodations for, no pet fees based on HUD guidance and the changes in HUD guidance and, just tenant insurance, liability to landlord, a whole bunch of things that are kind of critical to serving clients the best way. Interesting. That's definitely an interesting group. There's so much that changes in our industry so often that, I may go every year, maybe every other year to kind of leapfrog the advances and understand what's happening in a 2-year span. But that's a really good one. How do people reach you, Susan, if they want to know more about property management services or investor, buying services, selling services? How do they reach you?
Cell phone 918-639-4824 or Susan Olivarez at kw.com.
Love it. Susan Olivarez is a Tulsa realtor with more than 27 years of experience helping buyers, sellers, and investors succeed in real estate. Born and raised in Oklahoma, she got her start in an abstract office at just 14 years old. I didn't mention this, but at 14 years old, I was just rolling burritos. I wish I had gotten a start in real estate that early. I was rolling burritos at a local restaurant in Houston, Texas. She was gaining rare behind-the-scenes knowledge of how real estate really works, as you heard today. An investor herself, Susan has guided clients through everything from traditional sales to short sales, foreclosures, and probate transactions. She's also built a property management division within her business to better serve the investors she works with, offering a true full-service approach to real estate. Susan, thank you so much for being on the show. It's fascinating talking to you about your start and your kind of continued journey through real estate.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Same Day Podcast. Tune in to a new show each week and be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.